The sun just started pushing through the curtains when she finished setting the table. 2 warm cup of coffee, toasts, some fruit slices. The whole night, her eyes burned, limbs heavy. But no matter how many times she flipped her pillow or adjusted her blanket, sleep never came. It felt wrong to sleep soundly when she knew he probably wasn't. By the time morning rolled around, she gave up pretending. She pulled herself out of bed and ended up in kitchen. But now that she is done making, there was still no sound from his room. She bit her bottom lip and walked quietly down the hallway, standing outside his door. The tray she carried earlier was already set in the kitchen. Now it was just her knuckles hovering in the air, debating if she should knock again. She knocked once and waited. When there was no sound, she knocked louder this time. No sound. Jungkook? She turned the knob slowly. The door creaked slightly as it opened a crack. She peeked in. He was lying there, curled slightly on his side. Still asleep? She blinked a little unsure and then carefully pulled the door shut. Again. He's probably just tired, she told herself. He barely slept last night. Let him rest a little longer. She glanced at the clock. 7:48 a.m. They still had 40 minutes before needing to leave. She went to shower, dressed for work, tied her hair up. But even as she stared at her reflection, something in her chest kept tugging. Jungkook always woke up early. He wasn't the type to oversleep. And if he was taking a leave, he would have told her, right? Unless he thought she'd figure it out on her own. Or maybe he didn't want to be asked questions. Still. He would have said something. Because he always did. Now she was pacing softly by the door again. She knocked on the door again. Still the same response. She bit her lip, worry curling hot and sharp inside her chest. This time she opened the door fully and stepped in. Jungkook? He was still laying in the same position, but his breathing was heavier. She stepped closer and instantly stilled. He looked pale and he was sweating. Jungkook. She placed the back of her hand against his forehead. He was burning up. Quote, shoot. She reached forward and carefully pulled the blanket down from his chest. His shirt was clinging slightly to his chest, damp with sweat. His skin was flushed at the neck and his brows were furrowed tightly. Her hands moved, checking his pulse, the warmth behind his ears, scanning the room at the same time, thinking about the obvious places where she could find thermometer. She needed to check his temperature before anything else. Opening the first drawer beside his bed, just pens, chargers, and a folded pair of socks. The second drawer had files. She checked the room, and a little after she found the first aid box, and there it was. She turned back and he was moving, head shifted against the pillow. A low groan escaped him. His eyes blinked open. In? His voice was hoarse like sandpaper. Dry lips, cracked breath. She could tell he wasn't fully awake. Hey, she said softly, stepping toward him. Don't sit up, okay? Stay lying down. He groaned again, letting his head drop back onto the pillow with a frustrated sigh, his eyes fluttering closed. Good, now open your mouth. When he didn't move, she gently nudged his arm. Come on, mouth. I need to check your temperature. He let out a breath, annoyed, mostly, but parted his lips just enough for her to slip the thermometer under his tongue. There we go, just a few seconds. When the thermometer beeped, she took it out quickly, squinting at the numbers. Quote 9 degrees Celsius, she muttered. Still burning up. His only response was another groan. Yeah, I know. She placed the thermometer on the nightstand. It sucks. He cracked one eye open to squint at her. What time is it? Little past 8. Work? What's that? She said, clearly sarcastic. Never heard of it. Sounds terrible. You should call in sick or something.
He exhaled a soft breath, something close to a laugh or maybe just a grunt. I'll be back in a second,
she said, already turning toward the door. Don't move. He didn't answer. She returned a minute later with a bowl of cold water and a soft cloth. Kneeling beside the bed, she dipped the cloth in, wrung it out, then gently pressed it to his forehead. He flinched the moment it touched his skin. Cold. It's supposed to be like that. She slowly ran the cloth along his temple and the side of his face. His lashes fluttered, but he didn't open his eyes. You're seriously burning up. Feels like hell. He rasped, double quotes. I know. I should have known you do get sick the amount of time. You keep pushing yourself, overworking your body. And yesterday must have drained him. She didn't mention 𝗗cie because right now she didn't needed to. I'm going to make something light for you. Then you need to take medicine. He didn't respond. She looked at him, eyes closed. Chest rising and falling slowly, one hand resting over his stomach. Double quote. Did you hear me? He let out a small noise, already drifting again. She straightened, setting the bowl aside. All right, rest. I'll wake you when it's time. And then she stepped back, closing the door behind her. Losing a patient is never easy. No one tells you that in med school. They warn you. They prepare you with lectures and mock drills and dry protocol sheets. They say the words like they're clinical, loss, time of death, non-responsive, DNR. They teach you how to document it, how to explain it to the family, how to move on. But no one tells you how their face stays with you. Their voice, their last breath. The way their body goes still in your hands like the world just stopped. In 5 years of being a trauma surgeon, Jungkook had lost patients, dozens. Some so sudden he didn't even have time to learn their names. Others he fought tooth and nail for hours in the OR. Sleepless nights, updates to families, waiting on reports, adjusting medication. Only for everything to fall apart in a second. But 𝗗cie was different. She was more than a patient. She was a fighter. A stubborn, sunshine-hearted little warrior who lived more pain than most adults could handle. He still remembered the first time she smiled at him. Pale and exhausted after her first big surgery, cheeks puffed as she muttered, "You look like a bunny." He laughed. Actually laughed. In the middle of a 12-hour shift, with blood on his sleeves and 4 missed meals. 𝗗cie had a way of doing that, pulling something warm from deep inside him even when everything else felt like chaos. And that's the thing. He always knew from the start. He knew her case was a long shot. Her injuries were severe. Her immune system was weak. Her surgeries were stacking up faster than her body could recover. But every time she pulled through, every time she opened her eyes again, asked about the weather, asked if he brought her choco pie like he promised, it gave him hope. Foolish, fragile hope.
He thought, just one more time. She make it through.
She always does, but this time she didn't single quotes day. He remembered the way her heartbeat started fading beneath his palms. How the monitors flattened. How he kept pressing down, kept doing compressions, kept saying her name even when the rest of the team gone quiet. He watched the life leave her eyes. Her tiny hand in his glove covered one. And then silence afterward. He walked out with her chart clutched in his hands. Like it still mattered, like recording the time of death would make any of it real. Her mother was already crying, eyes swollen, arms wrapped around her husband's neck. When she saw Jungkook, she didn't blame him, she didn't scream. She walked over, shaking, and hugged him and cried. She whispered, "Thank you for trying. Thank you for loving her like your own." And that broke something inside him. He heard countless of times it's part of the job or she's in a better place. Now he knew all of that but none of it stopped the grief clawing up his throat. He didn't cry because he'd gotten too good at holding things and he wasn't a god. He wasn't a miracle worker. He was just a man. A tired man in a white coat who once promised an 11-year-old girl that he'd be right there every time she woke up from surgery. Who promised he would take her to places she actually wanted to see. And this time, she didn't wake up. He must have drifted off again because the next thing he registered wasn't the throbbing in his head or the slow burn behind his eyes. It was a soft knock. Jungkook? He didn't have the strength to respond. Her footsteps padded into the room. He cracked one eye open, blinking through the blur. "I brought you something." She set the tray down gently on the side table and turned toward him. He closed his eyes again just for a second, trying to breathe, through the dizziness. The room spun a little. Everything in his body felt heavy damp, with sweat and hot from the inside out. Fingers brushed his cheek, soft, light, and cold. Still burning, it was her hand. I'll change the cloth. She turned, walking back toward the bathroom.
He could hear the faint sound of running water, the twist of a towel being wrung out.
A moment later, the familiar, blessedly cold pressure of a new compress settled against his forehead. His shoulders sagged into the mattress. A soft breath escaped him like relief. Better? She asked. He hummed in response.
He shifted, trying to sit up, but his limbs didn't exactly agree. His muscles ached.
He felt like a corpse trying to wake. Wait here, she quickly coming to his side. Her arm slid gently behind his back, helping him lift. He didn't fight it. Maybe because he was too tired. Or maybe because a small part of him just wanted to let someone else care, for once. Let someone else hold the pieces together.
He leaned against the headboard, his breath shaky. You okay?
She asked, steadying the tray now in front of him. A bowl was in the center, steam curling upward. A glass of water. 2 pills beside it. A spoon, napkin. The bowl of soup smelled like ginger, something herbal. He made a face. She narrowed her eyes immediately. Don't even think about it. You have to eat, doctor. You know why? He raised a brow slowly. You need the medicine. And you know that. Even if you feel sick, you eat first. I don't feel like it. But you have to. Now you know how your patients feel when you make them eat with a fever. A tired smile formed at the corner of his mouth. Didn't think I'd hear my own lecture repeated back to me. Well, she placed the spoon in his hand. You look too out of it to say it to yourself. He stared at the spoon for a second, fingers curling around it. She watched him like a strict police officer investigating a crime until he finally took a spoonful and drank it. Good. She sat down beside him bed. You eat that. Then I'll give you medicine. Do another small sip of the soup. It still tasted like ginger and whatever healing herbs she mixed in. He glanced at her. Her chin propped on her palm, her elbow pressed into the edge of his bed. Her eyes trailed his every movement like she was making sure he finished every damn bite. He lowered the spoon slightly. You're not going to the hospital? She straightened up. No. His brow pulled faintly. Why? If I leave, who's going to take care of you? I'll feel better once I take the medicine. You don't have to take leave for me. Besides, I was thinking I could go. Don't even think about it. She cut him off, making him blink. I already talked to 𝗗cie𝗰𝘁cie you're running a high fever. He said it's fine. Everyone's handling things. Nothing's burning down. She folded her arms like a little boss. And now I don't want to hear a word about you trying to go anywhere. He looked down at his soup, stirred it once. So bossy. I learned from the best. He gave her a look, but it faded a little, like the sunlight had ducked behind clouds.
A sigh escaping his lips.
𝗗¿Ece's funeral is probably tomorrow. Her parents haven't confirmed the exact time yet, but yeah. Her grin faded too as she looks at him now serious. Do you want to go? He set the spoon down in the bowl. I might. I don't know, I feel like I should. Then go, but only if you want to. You're not obligated, Jungkook. I know. Do you? She tilted her head. He exhaled slowly. I held her hand when she died. That made her go still. He looked down at his tray, not really seeing it anymore. She was fine the night before, stable, still a long road ahead, but stable. The last surgery. We managed to control the bleeding, barely. She lost so much blood, but she pulled through. I honestly didn't think she would, but she fought. She always did. She was strong. She was, but her body, it was tired. She's been fighting for 2 long months. Her immune system was weak. The infection spread too fast, by the time I saw her reports. Her organs just started shutting down. It happened fast. He blinked, jaw clenched. She looked at me. She knew. I swear she knew. I was holding her hand, telling her it's okay. She can let go if she's tired. She smiled. She was in pain and she smiled. You did everything you could. In said softly. I was the one who kept signing off on her surgeries. Every time her parents asked, will this help her walk again? Will she be able to live like other kids? And I kept saying maybe. I kept giving them maybes, hope. Because it was your job, and because it was true. Jungkook, though no one forced them, they trusted you. And that trust wasn't misplaced. You didn't lie to them. He looked at her. You fought for her. You gave her chances she never would have had, and they know that. The silence hung again, but something about it had changed. Like the grief was still there, but she'd cut a small hole through it, letting in a bit of air.
He ran a hand over his face. I didn't expect it.
Not after how hard she fought. I know. Her mom hugged me when I told her. She cried on my shoulder, and she said thank you. She swallowed the knot in her throat. She thanked me for giving her daughter more time. And all I could think was if I was just a little better. If I had done something more. Hey, she placed his hand resting over his on the blanket. No, he looked at her. You didn't fail her. You were there every single step. You fought for her when others thought she'd never make it past the first few surgeries. She smiled even on the worst days, and half of that was because of you. He didn't respond. His eyes dropped to where her hand covered his. Her fingers were so small compared to his. They were just there giving him comfort. I wanted a different ending for her. She nodded. Me too. Double quotes. There was no pity in her eyes, just understanding. And that was somehow worse and better all at once. You should finish your soup, she said gently, nodding toward the tray. He looked back at his lap where the tray was sitting okay. He picked up the spoon again as she stayed beside him. No more words were needed after that. Because some losses you carry with the right person sitting next to you. They feel just a little lighter. Inside, the trash bag closed with a sharp tug and sighed, wiping her hands on the hem of her shirt. The kitchen smelled faintly like lemon cleaner and leftover soup. She was just gathering another handful of empty packets when she heard footsteps, padding softly across the wooden floor. Turning around, she saw Jungkook approaching. His hair still slightly messy from sleep, and that soft, worn look on his face, the kind you wear after a fever breaks. Hey, she said, surprised to see him up. How are you feeling? A lot better than this morning. His voice was lower than usual, but no longer hoarse. Thanks to you. She gave him a look. I didn't do anything. You just got the rest, your body was begging for. You've been overworking yourself for weeks. Yeah, well, it's kind of the requirement of my job. She pressed her lips together and bit back the urge to roll her eyes. I mean, I get it. It's part of your job. But still, she turned back to the bin and tossed a yogurt cup in. You should take better care of yourself. He chuckled. You sound like me right now. I've been hanging around you too much. She said, giving her that infamous mischievous expression. Then paused before biting her lip and glancing back at him. Actually, I wanted to say sorry. He tilted his head. For what? She met his eyes for a second, then quickly looked away. That night, when I drank, and gave you a hard time. I should have listened to you. I didn't mean to be difficult. I didn't want to become one more person who added stress to your already full plate. There was a small silence before he spoke. You don't have to apologize. It was one night. You had fun. And, yeah, you were kind of a handful. But it wasn't anything I couldn't handle. She opened her mouth to argue, but he held a finger up. You just let go for a bit. And honestly, I'm glad you did. You were blowing off steam. I've dealt with much worse in my life, and for the record, I wasn't mad. She opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out, because how do you respond to that kind of calm, that kind of grace? Her hands found the trash bag again, if only to have something to hold on to. What are you doing now? He asked double quotes, taking the trash out. She tied the bag and lifting it. I could have done that. You always do it, she replied, glancing at him with a half smile. You cook, you clean, you do everything alongside making sure I'm taken care of. You do everything, even the small stuff. She paused, tightening her grip on the bag. This is the least I could do. And here's the thing. You don't have to do anything to return a favor. I don't do these things because I'm keeping score. This is like a second nature to me. I told you even when you came here first that if I'm doing a little extra work, it doesn't bother me. Beside, he paused, looking at her like he was carefully choosing his words. I like taking care of things, of you. And if I'm doing something and not complaining, so it means it's something I want to do. Double quotes. Her heart did a full somersault. Her ribs might as well have collapsed and rebuilt themselves in that one moment. He said it so simply. He likes taking care of me. Did he even know what that meant? Did he even know how dangerous it was to say things like that with that soft voice of his, those gentle eyes? And did he know what it was doing to me? Her gaze dropped, then shifted. Just a casual flick of the eyes. The kind she always did when she is trying too hard not to hold eye contact. She was avoiding eye contact, but her gaze caught something else. It was the smallest thing. A slight tilt of his head as he stretched his neck, a habitual motion of his. A mark deep purple. Just under his jaw, close to where the curve of his neck met his shoulder. Teeth marks. What the hell? She hadn't noticed it earlier, not yesterday, nor did she notice this morning when she was placing a cold cloth on his forehead. Was he hiding it? Did he conceal it on purpose? Who did even gave him? Her memory came crashing back in vivid, stomach-turning flashes. She remembered her teeth sinking into his neck. She remembered being flung over his shoulder, writhing like a drunken brat, trying to get away and then being pressed against the car. Heat rolling off his body, her body practically molded into his. Oh, God! Her pulse quickened, her lungs stuttered. The knot in her stomach tightened until she nearly bent in half. And he must have noticed, because his gaze flicked toward her. Then slowly his hand lifted, palm grazing the side of his neck. Right over the mark. His eyes met hers. This, he rubbed the side of his neck, is just a little consequence from when you were drunk. Her entire body froze. I'm sorry, she stammered, lips parted as if they were trying to catch the words before they fell out. But he stepped closer. Just one step, but it was enough to feel like the earth had tilted. His eyes didn't leave hers. See, that's not really what I was looking for. She blinked. What? He took another step closer. What do you mean? He tilted his head. Smile played on his lips now, but it wasn't his usual worn one. It wasn't teasing either. It was something in between. I mean, he said, taking another step toward her. Wouldn't it only be fair if I returned the favor? Her pulse jumped. Her grip on the trash bag in her hands loosened until it slipped with a dull thud to the floor. He was close now, too close. Each step he took sent her nerves into a spiral. They backed up without thinking until her hips bumped the counter behind her and she had nowhere else to go. I was drunk, she whispered. Wasn't really in my right mind. A quiet breath left his chest. I know, which makes it worse. Doesn't it? Her mouth parted, but the words tangled on her tongue. She blinked at him, completely still. Not sure what she was more aware of, the heat of his body this close, or the sudden sinking feeling in her chest. His hand came up, fingertips brushing her hair off her shoulder. Gently, letting it fall down her back. Her pulse thudded so hard she swore he could hear it. But I'd let you do it again. His thumb gently brushed the curve of her shoulder. I'd let you do it even if you were sober. She felt his lips at the curve of her neck pressing against her skin, just beneath her ear. She felt the slight drag of them across her skin. Her eyes fluttered shut, her grip on the counter tightened. Then came the heat of his breath, right against the spot he kissed. Her whole body felt like it had forgotten how to function.
He parted his lips and sunk them into her skin, just a little.
Enough to make the oxygen leave her lungs. Her whole body felt like it had forgotten how to function. He parted his lips and sunk them into her skin. Just a little. Enough to make the oxygen leave her lungs. Now this seems fair, he rasped in her ear. YN, his voice suddenly feels deep and loud. Huh? YN. The scene snapped like a rubber band in her head and she blinked hard, suddenly realizing. She was still standing there, in the middle of the kitchen, trash bag in hand. Her eyes still glued burned, more like to the spot beneath his jaw where that mark she gave him sat so proudly. But now he was looking at her closer now. One eyebrow slightly raised. Slight confusion written all over his eyes. What? I said I'll take the trash bag out.
He repeated carefully. Where did you just go? What?
You zoned out, he said, confused. Oh, nowhere. She said it way too fast, snapping her gaze, away like the floor was suddenly fascinating. It's nothing. I'll take care of it, yeah. She shoved the trash bag a little too harshly into her arms. He frowned. You okay? You look flushed, double quotes. Great, She could feel the heat crawling up her neck like a traitor. Her face must have been turning red by the second. Must be the kitchen heat, she said quickly, still not meeting his eyes. Airflow sucks in here, you know. She turned around before he could respond, bolted out of the kitchen like it was on fire. Once she made it outside, she stared at the trash bin. What the hell? She just daydreamed about him, not just that. About him pinning her, biting her, making a hickey, whispering in her ear with that low, sinful voice of his. It felt so real, God, he was sick. He had a fever. And she was out here losing her mind, fantasizing about him in the middle of the kitchen while holding trash. She shut her eyes tightly, groaning into her palms. Get it together. What the hell is wrong with you? But the mark on his neck. The one her teeth left behind burned in the back of her mind like a glowing reminder. God, she really gave him that. Why didn't she feel an ounce of guilt for it? She was doomed.